Hello and welcome to Power On Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Taylor, and with me, as always, is the venerable, the illustrious, the emasculated Sushi B. How you doing?
I was expecting volatile. I'm okay. I had a short vacation, and I'm a little under the weather, but otherwise I'm doing well. We have something interesting in store today, so why don't we introduce our other guest here? Well, not guest, I guess, other host.
Jeez.
And let's move forward.
I'm always a guest to use too. So.
Well, sorry.
Oh goodness, with us for what's been a while now is the reoccurring host guest is Jesus is RPG Swackman Greg. How you doing?
This internship sucks.
At least you're not you're not emasculated. At least that's
kind of feel like I am. But shit.
We should just start calling you the intern from now on.
Oh fuck that! I'm out.
RPG intern man.
Oh goodness.
RPG outturn.
Yeah. We've had some other names that were worse for you, like RPG Slouchman, and I forget.
Well, no, that's actually more accurate.
Yeah, well, fair enough.
Oh goodness. Oh wow. Yeah. So this is actually the first episode of, I guess, the redux of the podcast here.
Next phase.
The next phase. Yes, the second leg of the journey, and kind of stepping a little bit away from video games and whatnot. And while doing so, we're going to cover a bunch of random things. As for this episode, we kind of wanted to talk about the culture of food. Yeah, very heavy topic there.
Depending what you ate.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it was pretty bad there, Sushi.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's it's an interesting thing to think about, because I will say this. It really does not feel there's much of an identity when it comes to American cuisine. Am I kind of scratching on the wrong post?
I would say, Canada and America have that sort of problem, if you will.
Mm. How about there in Australia there, Greg? Do you feel that there's a kind of a core theme, central kind of thing that you're like, yeah, this is totally Australian cuisine kind of thing?
There is, and I'm actually not the biggest foodie, and I'm actually not a big fan of defining one's culture based on just food. There's a lot of other better ways to define a culture, and I don't know. I mean, the whole term shrimp on the barbie, I don't know many people who actually barbecue shrimp, and if I want shrimp, I go to a restaurant and have it, I don't know, tempura or whatever. So
it's kind of an interesting thing that you point out there, is that you don't quite think that food can kind of, I guess, what's the word I want to, identify a culture, because I don't know. I think that there's something to be said about what people eat. That I mean, you don't want to say it's not like what they eat, what they are kind of thing. I don't mean like that. There are certain things that it's just like, I think because food is so damn universal that it is at least a way to kind of be like, oh, these people really like to eat, look at Americans, they like to eat hamburgers or chicken and waffles or some shit.
Potatoes.
Potatoes. Yeah, it's very, very, very kind of interesting thing. Fuck, potatoes. That shit wasn't even around more than 600 years ago as a main staple of food, and in places like Europe.
Just about everywhere.
Exactly. It's kind of a very interesting thing that a spud that's so kind of
Spud!
a spud that's so
thank God for potatoes. I'd probably starved to death ages ago.
Well, I mean, it's crazy. Like they come from like Peru or Bolivia or something, and they freaking from there, and they kind of spread out from there. It's an insane thing that something that's so widespread now just kind of came from this very central point in the geography. It's just insane, crazy. But I don't know. What do you think there, Sushi? Do you think that food is a good marker for kind of identifying certain aspects of culture and stuff like that?
I think to a point, yes, and especially when if you're trying to teach this kind of think to young children and things, it's something that they can easily see to identify cultures. Obviously, they can see skin color. They can see certain cultures have obviously different sorts of literature and things like that. But food is something that is very tangible and easy to mark as compared to some other things sometimes. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a fair marker all the time, but in some cases, such as, let's take a really easy one, and that is kimchi in Koreans. I mean, there's kind of no word of a lie that Koreans pretty much always eat kimchi with their meal. It's only been maybe in the last 10, maybe a bit more than that, but not very long ago that they've kind of stopped eating kimchi with everything. But you know, I've had people eat. I can't even think of dishes. Maybe they'll have like a Mexican dish, and they'll be like, "Well, you know what would be?" They're always like, it'd be so much better if there's kimchi, and you shake your head. Oh man, what are you talking about? You should just be enjoying the food as it is. It doesn't have kimchi, but it's just something that's so ingrained with them. They grew up eating it, and maybe they hated it, but that's something that's like very identifiable for Korean people, at least. So food can be something that's very strongly a cultural aspect of certain type of peoples. It's just, it can't be escaped. But then you talk about something like potatoes, like you said, they're so widespread now that, I don't know, they're just so liberally used in every other dish now, it seems like. So
I don't know. It's I don't know. I'm kind of interested that Greg kind of. I know you mentioned before that you're not really too, as you put it, a foodie, I guess.
No.
I hate that word. Versatile with food. Versatile.
I guess just interested in food, I guess.
Interested in food is fine, but foodie just seems like such a silly word. It almost sounds like if you're not a foodie, then you don't care about food at all. And I understand that, but everybody eats.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Foodie just seems to be this sort of identification to almost give people status, like, oh, I'm better than you because I'm a foodie. I know about food. And it's like, okay. I don't really like it. It seems like a very, I don't know, unfair way of pronouncing that you know things about food. I don't know. There's got to be another way of saying that, you're a critic of food or something. But personally, I don't really like that word.
Just to give you a barometer where I stand is food is food. The one thing that really pisses me off in social network, whether it's Twitter or Facebook, is people posting pictures of what they're going to eat. People, stop it. Seriously.
You have no idea, Greg, I think. In Korea, everybody takes a picture of the food they're going to eat after they've eaten it. I'm serious. It's a huge deal. It's like a cultural thing here to take pictures of food. It just is.
Yeah, they do it
I think it's just spilt over into other places.
As I would say, they do it in Japan as well. I mean, I personally, I don't. I think what might be a bit of a disconnect with these kind of things is that in places like Japan and Korea, there is a bit of an art to some of the food that they put together. Sure, some of it not so much. It's just kind of put together, but there is some of it.
Gruel.
I'm not saying that, but I mean, there are certain things like it just especially if you go to like themed restaurants or just very very artistically done dishes. Some people do like to take pictures of it. I don't mind it. It doesn't really bother me. I am surprised that Greg's such a very vehemently against it, but.
What would you rather have, Greg? People taking the
selfies or
photos,
foodie?
or taking photos of food? Because I personally would take the food. I really can't stand the people like taking photos of themselves. I find that a lot more obnoxious.
You know, it's weird. I have no problem with that, really. I've never had a problem with people taking selfies.
Maybe you only look at beautiful people. And I look at beautiful food or something. I don't know.
Greg eats those beautiful people with his eyes.
Oh. Don't show me that disgusting plate of slop.
Oh,
Make me
good.
sound like Hannibal Lecter right there.
Very good. But as you said, Taylor, selfie, and foodie, both are just kind of, they almost feel like really arrogant words to me. They're very individual, arrogant words in a way when I think of them. They just sound so self-centered. It's just like, I'm special. And it's like, okay, this stupid word. I had never heard of the word selfie until like 2 months ago. I didn't even know what that was. I'd never heard of it. And I've only heard one person ever say it, and it was 2 days ago in the Hong Kong airport. There was a North American girl walking by, and she was like, "Oh, did you see my selfie?" And I'm like, "What the hell?" And
It's
I was just
it's
like,
funny. It's funny you
such a
say
weird word.
it's obnoxious and pretentious, but most of all, it's lazy. A lot of people have just abused the English language. You know, it's not self-portrait, it's selfie, and I'm like, you do know it doesn't sound that good, right?
Right.
Well, I mean, that's the problem with language. It's always changing, and it's always
It's always with the
It's
times
more-
and the
Yeah.
generations.
yeah. So that's another episode for another day. kind of
Right, right.
thing.
Yeah.
Anyways, Nick, let's get off the
What?
word problems. That's no big deal. Let's get back to, as you're saying, the culture thing.
Yeah.
I'm curious about Greg's opinions, I guess, on this whole topic, since he has very little interest in food.
Yeah. What do you have any idea where that stems from exactly, or you just kind of like, I
Oh
don't care.
God. Oh God, if you only knew my life up to this point. It's
Greg
been
just
a
hates
big,
food.
oh, it's caused so many problems, family and friends. Let's just put it that way.
But that's actually pretty true. I don't know about your particular case, but anytime you're in a group of people and there's food options, it becomes a big problem.
It is. It's gone to that point where people's like, oh, we want to meet up and do this. It's like, I'll meet you after you've all done eating. That's just always been a thing with me. So, and it's just like, yeah, I get to eat whatever I want to eat. Don't worry about anyone else. It's just always been the way with me.
Interesting.
That is really interesting because there's a lot of people that put a lot of high what's the word I want, reverence into food and stuff, and then you have Greg just shitting all over it.
Well, that's a topic that's very as we should say, not
You don't want to mix those two. That's
Okay, Greg, would you say then, because, and I was in Australia for a while, would you say that most people in Australia don't really put much care about food? Or are they just kind of like, yeah, whatever, food, just eat it? Or is it just your personal feeling?
It's just me. And most Australians would listen to this like, what the fuck is wrong with him? Like, it's like one in 10,000. Like, no, we're a big food nation. And just big, not only obsessed with food because it's multicultural and there's different cultures, you know, that immigrate to Australia. So the selection here is just huge.
Right.
But I've just noticed people just make such a big deal out of it. I'm just one of those people that's just like, okay. Whatever gets you through the day, you know. It's just, oh man. I mean, and of course, it's not just in just the culture, but just on TV as well. Just, I think the cooking shows
25
like,
food networks and stuff.
yeah, there is no
So many,
really,
huh?
I would say like 20, if not 30% of the shows is just nothing but cooking shows,
Mhm.
and I couldn't turn the TV over fast enough. I was like, shit, come on. The only ones that I kind of take an interest in is sweets and bakery. That doesn't bother me at all. It's because I don't think there's a cake I didn't like.
Macaroons.
Oh, actually, nope. You just said it then. I actually don't like macaroons.
really.
It's all
Have you
right.
ever
They're okay.
Have you had one? Oh,
Oh
you
yeah,
have.
of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the texture of the shells. I don't know. I just took one bite of a mango one. It's like, ugh. Yeah.
Well, it depends on the one, right? Like if you really dislike certain fruits and stuff and you have that macaroon, it's probably not going to be that good for you. But
Well, it's funny because it was mango, because it's like, oh, what macaroon should I choose? Well, I love mango. Like, I love mango. It's like, not with a macaroon, though.
well, it is artificial, so.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so the way you're saying it, though, Greg, with the Australia, I mean, I would say I didn't get a good vibe of what people felt about food. I mean, I wasn't in contact with people all the time when it came to eating. But I would say from the sounds of it, North America definitely has that as well because of it being such a blend of different peoples. everyone has now got access to all these different restaurants or recipes online and things like that. And so people, generally speaking, people have become more open-minded about food. Not necessarily everything, but I would say maybe, now that not to totally generalize, but maybe in places like China, Korea, Japan, some other places, not that they're not as open-minded, but there's definitely a little more hold on the sort of traditional foods that have been eaten for however many, centuries or whatever. There is definitely open-mindedness towards new foods, but there's definitely a very large stronghold of like the old classics kind of thing.
Yeah, I would agree with that to some extent, but I mean, you could argue sort of the same thing in America, at least for just speaking America specifically. There's definitely a lot of people that are kind of like the meat and potatoes kind of people, or this very very, I guess, recent cuisine that's just kind of stuck with them. They don't want to, like, I know a lot of people that don't want to kind of venture out and try new vegetables or new foods or things like that. So, I mean, I can guarantee, actually, there's a really good friend of mine in high school, definitely one of my best friends in high school. He was in one of my Spanish classes, and we went to a play, like a play that was done in Spanish and stuff, and afterwards we went to I think it was a Mexican restaurant or something. And he is this kind of hamburgers, French fries, fuck all for everything else. And we were eating here, and he's got something so American. I think he seriously ordered a hamburger, and I was giving him so much garbage for it. And on the table they served us like tortilla chips and stuff like this, and dips of like guacamole stuff and salsa and stuff. I'm being as much of a jackass as I can be with this, and I'm like eating all this guacamole dip, and he's like, "Man, that's so disgusting. It looks so nasty." And I know some people just don't like guacamole or whatever. Maybe they just don't like avocado, whatever. But I decided to kind of go all out and basically dump a huge either I like dipped a spoon of it in or something, or just took a big fuck all thing of guacamole and ate it. And while I'm eating it, I give this nasty remark about how it's just like baby poop. It's great. It's just as good when it's warm. And he had to leave. He had to like leave the room because I had sickened him from eating this stuff. And it's very interesting that something as tame as guacamole. He's probably better about it now, but I mean, just how kind of rigid some people are with their food, which to me feels kind of sad. I mean, the dude's lovable guy, very, very funny person, but it's just kind of like, man, to be just so cloistered in what you like is just a really odd thing to me. And Japan is very rigid about what they eat. They're stuck to, well, not rigid, well, they're very stuck to what they kind of, their food is what they've had for years and years and years.
Right.
But they do definitely go out and try other things. But then you get this mentality in America where it's just like, fuck all to these kind of things. I don't want this. I just want this. So,
right.
I mean,
I don't like ethnic foods.
Well, just that, or just don't venture out of what they're comfortable with eating. For whatever reason, what they're comfortable with eating is a very, very small circle compared to like where some Japanese people, when they go traveling or something, they'll dine on whatever the hell is local, and they won't have an issue with it. But when they come back home, they're just they're content with eating Japanese food. So
it's funny.
Oh, go ahead, Greg.
I just going to, because I say quickly, it's funny you tell your story about a friend, because I seem like the opposite of him in that situation. I absolutely love Mexican food, but I actually don't like hamburgers. Really, I just don't. So that's funny you mentioned that. Like the complete switch around. I don't know. I remember being very young taking a hamburger. I thought it was a disgusting fusion. And that's probably what you'll get with me. If something doesn't fuse right, it's like, nah, fuck that. So I've never been a big hamburger guy. And I think that might actually be a good thing, maybe, health-wise.
Well, what about Hamburg steak? Are you a fan of Hamburg steak at all?
Well, you just talking normal steaks? Because
no, Hamburg steak, like a hamburger.
Oh, ham steaks?
Steak.
Oh, fuck, no.
No, so you're just not a fan of hamburger?
Yeah, nah.
Bring on the meatloaf.
Nah, no, normal steaks, yeah, nah, by itself, more traditional. I'm more traditional in that sense, I'm guessing.
No, it's okay. That's fine. That's totally.
But guac, and I remember the first time I saw guacamole, I actually didn't like the look of it. Oh my god, and I actually had it, and it's weird. I can only have guacamole if I drink. Like if I have a beer, or if I have a
The
scotch.
hell is
That's
that supposed to be?
yeah, it's just one of those things. It's one of the things is the best way to eat new foods with me is I actually need to get a little blasted.
Okay, all right. Well, that's. I mean, that's how some people learn languages to just fucking
Yeah.
get blasted.
Yeah.
That'll do it. Huh.
Oh,
And,
dear.
and what were you were about to say there, Sushi? You're
Briefly, just maybe part of the thing is with the United States and Canada is just the fact that it's so geographically large as well that could negate people from having opportunities to try different foods, which probably closes their mind a little bit. Yeah, like where I'm from, there's definitely restaurants around, but if you just drive slightly out of the city, you're in farmland, and it's, as you said, it's meat and potatoes. Nobody really goes to much trouble to eat other things. So
there's
that's probably a part of it, not a big part maybe, but
hmm.
getting less and less though now, right, with the international food markets and all kinds of things like that.
Right. It definitely feels with a lot of kind of the countryside, the farm foods, I guess, for lack of a better word. There's a pride in cooking, but there's not a lot of variety to it, to an
Right.
extent. But as
What's for dinner? Corn.
corn, mashed potatoes, and
Every day is corn and mashed potatoes.
yeah, get
Little
that
bit of
starch
meat.
up there. Woo.
Mm.
But that and like there's pride in the cooking, but especially as we've gotten more and more urbanized, there seems to be a lot less pride in cooking, or at least a lot less interest
Somewhat.
in it, as opposed. I will say this: even though I'm painting an incredibly wide brush for America here, there are few instances, especially in the South. Southern folk have a lot of love for what they cook, and they got a lot of different things there. I mean, look at Louisiana, kind of like the northernmost Cajun kind of city with New Orleans there. New Orleans?
Orleans.
Fucking people hate that shit, but no, look at New Orleans where you have just just pride in what they make, and just a lot of variety in their food, as well as just in the South,
Right.
the collard greens, and you got chili. Forgot, I love chili. But
Chili's.
but I mean, there's just
As long as there's no fingers from Wendy's in it.
no.
Whatever. It wasn't actually a
Yeah,
finger,
we're talking,
right? It was
yeah, chili con carne with beef, not human flesh kind of thing. But yeah, it's just, and I know I'm being kind of wide with that, but just want to point that out.
But look, as you're saying, in Louisiana is well known for a lot of things, but food is a huge deal there, and that's a cultural thing there. Obviously, Louisiana is known for music and other things. Obviously, Bourbon Street, but food is a huge deal there. You constantly hear about the Cajun cooking and stuff coming out of Louisiana and things like that, and it plays a big role in sort of how people think of that whole state.
Yeah, definitely. So that's whew, whew. Goodness.
Got to prove Greg wrong about the culturalness of food.
Yeah, seriously, there are a lot of people. Yeah, it's kind of interesting that.
Not necessarily wrong.
Well, no, right, just kind of tongue in cheek there. Just
I guess it's where your focus is.
Hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of. I mean, look at something like I don't know. It just, I guess, as like I was saying, as we've kind of becoming more and more urbanized, it does feel like there's a disconnect that's kind of happening a lot with food to an extent. I don't know if.
And of course, as I like to call it, the fast food nations, it's a big business. And one of the things I've always heard, and it's totally true, is those fast food industries, their biggest thing is not to sell food, it's actually to gain real estate. Because if you actually came to where I live, there is a McDonald's every 10 to 15 minutes. And
I
I'm
don't
just
think
like,
that's uncommon in North America, though, really, either. I mean, in
yeah,
Canada, you can't drive 5 minutes without there being a Tim Hortons.
Or
yeah.
U.S. Starbucks.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
I don't think that's uncommon.
it's funny you mentioned that. Literally a day ago, I was talking about Tim Hortons. I've never had it, but just every Canadian I've ever talked to or ever heard about has mentioned Tim Hortons. I'm like,
Oh, it's
I'm a
such a
big donut
staple.
guy, so it's just like, yeah, I gotta have Tim Hortons now after 4
Yeah,
years.
you're
I'm
going
not.
to be disappointed, Greg. They
Yeah.
used to make their own donuts, and now they freeze them and truck them out, and yeah, they're
Oh
not
well,
so good anymore.
I think you may have just convinced me not to go because I
Yeah,
hate it
no,
when they freaking
they're
do
not so
that.
good anymore. They're okay, like they're all right, but when I went back after I forget how long, 4 or 5 years or something, and I was really looking forward to having a donut, and then I was just like, God, they had already been freezing them for years before that, but they're not so good anymore.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah. Oh, they used to have a box of Timbits, which are like just donut holes. 65 Timbits. I used to blast through that in the evening. I'm serious.
Yeah.
And when I was a teenager, I would just buy one of those in a giant like 2-liter Slurpee, and I would just rip through those things. And in the morning, there might be like 2 or 3 left, and eat those for breakfast.
Oh,
And they were only five. It was $5.50 for the huge box. They don't even have the 65 box anymore. I think the biggest they have is 40. I think now.
Nah.
And I think it even costs more than it used to cost. It's just like jerks.
man, that's cheap. If you try, okay, we've got, I think it's just donut rounds or something, which is the little donut holes.
Yeah.
You get here, I would say about 12 for about $5. So
Pretty outrageous.
yeah, that's crazy.
That is pretty crazy considering pretty much the only thing I remember about Australia when it came to purchasing things, the cheapest stuff typically was food. Pretty much everything else cost a lot of money.
It has skyrocketed in the last couple of years because of the taxes. So
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking of like local produce and stuff, but
yeah, and then
meat
that's
is
say
really cheap. Like
and
meats.
that yeah, and with the produce, it is from case to case because some
Right.
produce will cost you like insane amounts of money because like one of the biggest freak storms we had in the last 30 years nearly wiped out the banana industry here. So banana prices skyrocketed.
Mhm.
Really?
Sad. Yeah. Which doesn't mean anything to me because I fucking hate bananas.
Oh, bananas.
We should just drop Greg in the middle of tribal Africa somewhere and let him try to understand the culture of
I'll
see
try
how
and
it
find.
goes.
I'll try and find the other fruits that are not bananas, and it's actually funny because I actually like most fruits,
Mm.
but just bananas one of the odd ducks. It's just like nah, the texture's like wow man.
It's because it's
Right,
phallic,
but-
isn't it? That's what it is.
But Bath City coming right up.
it's a phallic shaped fruit, and Greg is very uncomfortable with it. Right?
He likes those phallic mangoes.
Jesus.
They're a little wider.
Or eggplant.
Greg, what about Greg, what about like having bananas in a milkshake? Can you handle that? Like, is that okay?
no,
is
no,
is it the
just
flavor?
It is the flavor.
It is the
really-
flavor?
No.
It is the flavor. And the
Mm.
I thought it's just the texture. No, it's the flavor as well.
Huh.
Okay.
So
Because the texture is pretty. I mean, it's just soft. So
I seriously thought you were going to come out and say, I know why Greg likes mangoes because it's shaped like a bosom.
Nope. Had to take it for the worst.
No, which, just out of your curiosity, guys, who would you think is the biggest apple nation in the world?
like, what do you mean? Consumers of apples or?
Yeah,
Oh, I have not the foggiest idea.
because we got big ones here. Basically, if I had no money, I'd try and find a forest of apples. Then I could probably live the rest of my life because I really loves me some apples.
And then you'll turn into Jean Valjean and get arrested for stealing apples and be locked.
Yeah.
Jean Valjean.
You know, try to escape and nope, he's gonna be locked away for 19 or some odd years. Actually, I think it was a loaf of bread. But anywho, at least in the book, I think in the book I think he tries to steal fruit. But anywho, I don't know. It's really kind of, I don't know. I am not the biggest fan of what fast food has done to kind of the idea and the kind of, I guess for lack of a better word, the reverence of food.
I think I would say 90% of the people don't take time out to actually understand the word fast food. They just label it a name and just that's what it is. They don't take time to actually understand the meaning of both words. Fast food, meaning it's made pretty quickly, which means that it's not being cooked or processed that well, you know. I don't think many people take that for granted, you know.
I think it depends where you could be living, though. I mean, sushi could be considered fast food.
Yeah, that's true.
And like lots of restaurants in Korea, there's fast food, but it's not super healthy, but it's like a lot healthier than hamburgers or hot dogs are. So I think it depends on the context of it. I mean, yes, it means it's made quickly and generally consumed quickly as well, but it doesn't always have to be necessarily junk food. I mean,
Right.
maybe that's the divide there.
Yeah.
Just looking back, really focusing on the cultural aspect of food again is, I mean, in the West, there's not many moments now where it seems like where food plays a significant role in the family structure as well, like whether it's a birthday party or, Thanksgiving is one that's still pretty prominent for many people in many places. Even Christmas is kind of, doesn't seem like it's that big a deal anymore. Maybe Christmas Eve, but even then some people are just kind of, it's more about the presents and giving things. But Thanksgiving is one that still seems to sort of get a lot of love from people and a lot of focus, seems like. But I don't know about, can you guys think of any other moments? I mean,
For food,
yeah,
maybe New Year's, kind of.
maybe, but
That's
not
usually
that
snack
big a deal.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah, not
It's
that
usually
much.
it's usually the way around with beverages. When you think of New Year's, it's not the food, it's the drink.
Well, I'd say that,
Give me a
actually,
bevy.
I will say that in Japan there's a big kind of focus on like the few days after New Year's with different kind of New Year's foods and stuff. So
Mm.
there's a bit of a kind of kind of a point of food on New Year's in Japan as opposed to drinky poos there elsewhere. So
Right. Well, I mean, Chinese and Koreans for the Lunar New Year, that's a huge deal. That's a huge feast that goes on. And Koreans eat like a certain soup with rice cake in it, and after you eat it, you're quote unquote 1 year older after eating the soup, and so it's definitely gets some focus there. But that's after the sort of international New Year, if you will.
It's interesting to bring this up. It's you get to know which nations, which cultures love their food or concentrate on their food more than the other. One culture of food that actually, even though I've pretty much said I'm not really interested in, one that I think has an amazing track record for making good food, being happy about their food, and being joyous, and for it to be a family affair, is of course Italian cuisine.
Mm.
And that's my favorite cuisine of all time. There's just a ton of Italian food I can eat with ease and be happy afterwards. But if you hear the stories about just how joyful the cooks there were to make their food, they do take a lot of joy. Whereas like a lot of French chefs, I'd say, have a lot of pride. They probably have joy too, they just don't show it. But with more Italian chefs, that you can just see the happiness and just a lot of people gracious to eat the food and everything. It's just a good food culture over there, very positive food culture, where in France it's all about art and technique and the discovery of new flavor, which itself is good too if you're really into that sort of thing, because you see those shows where they make a dish and it's like microbe, like just it's there for the taste, not to fill you up.
Right.
So,
that's amore, right? Is that
yeah, that's amore. No, but if you very quickly, aside, as I said this at the start, the whole shrimp on the barbie, Australia is actually a very big barbecue nation, and
Australia's probably the biggest.
biggest, and
maybe the South Africans.
That's where a lot of people think I'm weird, because I actually hate it, like the pastime. Let's have a barbecue. I'm like, really? Really?
And do you hate
Bruce and
you
Bobby.
hate the fact that just like people getting together kind of thing, or do you hate the food part of it?
I think it's the whole shebang. Like there's this thing with people owning a barbecue and just cooking a meat on a barbecue think that they own, God's gift to everyone. It's like, look at me barbecuing. It's so awesome. Look, give me a plate. I've never liked that, and everyone knows that. That's why I think I'm a pain in the ass. But I don't know. Ever since I was a kid, I've never saw the importance of it. And it's been something that Australians have been identified with for ages. Like, in a couple of weeks, we're going to sell Australia. It's like, everyone have a shrimp on the barbie and all that. I'm like, really? Really? I like to think we're more sophisticated, more intelligent than that. But it's weird that I act this pretentious when it comes to it, but it's just something that, something with me. We'll just say that. I could go into it, and it could be in its entire episode, but I'll spare you.
The history of Greg. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
From the Gregorian calendar. Yeah, but I mean, Taylor, I would say North Americans like barbecuing. Maybe not quite as much, but there's definitely a pretty big barbecue culture in certain parts of North America. I mean, we definitely had a barbecue, and it was a fairly big deal when we did it because it wasn't all the time. And sometimes it would be like -30 and be like, yeah, I gotta get some steaks on there.
Oh,
Running in and out of the house. But I mean, it's certainly not the way Australians do it, or even the South Africans, where it's like this huge event. Like anytime it happens, it seems like it happens often. It's like, okay, we're rowdy, get everybody together, and we're gonna have this big deal, big shingding, and have some tube steaks.
Oh, tubes! What is wrong with you? Jeez. Tube steak. It's like borderline Taco Bell meat there.
It's just a hot dog.
Hence why I said it's borderline fucking Taco Bell meat. Jesus.
What, you don't like barbecued hot dogs?
I hate hot dogs.
Okay.
I'm not big on hot dog. Well, actually, not so much the meat. I hate hot dog buns, but I like the little meat ones.
Greg's got
You have a very long list of foods that you are just not.
Yeah.
I'll eat Mexican food, but only if it's on a purple plate.
Yeah, it's so weird too.
Guacamole in my beer.
As long as Sirius is in the third quadrant of the fourth star alignment.
It's so weird. I like bread. I like normal white loaves of bread, but hot dog, nah, there's something different. Even though it's yeast, isn't that just weird? But that's been my weirdest point people have identified with, and one that I kind of reluctant to divulge until this episode, because I think it would make for interesting conversation. But one thing I just wanted to quickly touch upon with the whole talk about taco meat, is it true that there are some fast food joints that sell for like $1? Seriously, if someone sold a taco for $1, that would be the major red flag for me.
It's
they constantly sell them for $1.
Yeah,
they sell like
really,
three
really,
for $1.
It's really, it's very, very small. So it's really small. There's a little bit of meat, a little bit of lettuce, maybe some cheese if you're putting in,
Maybe
little. Yeah, it's not like
the meat's really low grade. It's
right.
It's just edible basically. It's not.
I don't think you're getting any. You might get nutrients from all the bacteria and everything that's been living off of it, the oil that it's been cooked in for the
Right.
years that it hasn't been changed. But get much else out of it there, but.
Well, I think this is going very quickly down the tubes from we're talking about the culture food. Now I just want to know more about what things Greg won't eat. I will eat a hot dog, but not with the bun.
Well,
No. There's a small version. We call them pigs and blankets. There's something else Americans call it. I don't know.
I think they call them pigs and blankets.
No, I know them as pigs in a blanket.
Yeah, I think they're called the same thing.
Oh, sure, yeah,
Not,
but then no,
with-
they're nice. They're like the smaller version, but just with like a slice of bread. They're really nice if you know how to make them, but not the full one. Intricality.
What other things are no good, Greg?
Don't stop.
No, don't. Yeah, don't. You don't.
Don't you know?
Don't.
But there, I guess something to to kind of try to attempt to bring this back to to food culture is that if and kind of also adding in a little bit of joyful history here is that there was for a long time. I mean, there's always going to be a difference in the class of people, but it's interesting to see how just I guess because of these different classes and what's available, how what people eat was very very different. And I mean, yes, even nowadays there's of course going to be some difference, but it seems that even the richest of rich can enjoy quote unquote the pauper's meal kind of thing. So I don't know. Because I mean, what do you guys think? Because there's a lot of like things you could say, like, oh, you know, a long time ago, people the poor people wouldn't be able to eat meat. They wouldn't be able to eat exotic foods because
let them eat cake.
but they wouldn't, you know, they wouldn't be able to eat any sort of exotic foods because it'd be too difficult to bring it in because it's too far. They didn't have it and stuff. Yeah, tea.
Yeah. Tea was a big one.
Right, I mean, look at all the seasonings and
milk,
spices and everything.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't drink cow's milk. A lot of people drank almond milk because of Lent, or just because that shit actually lasted longer, kind of thing. And cow's milk spoiled so quickly. So, I don't know. What do you guys think of some of the, like, how that kind of, it doesn't seem as, I mean, sure there are some very exquisite things in stuff, but it doesn't seem quite as pronounced nowadays. I don't.
Yeah, it's cool you talk about that because it's well, things have changed since centuries ago when there's sort of like the age of discovery for a lot of things, and food was of course a major part of that. I've always liked how the first tasters of most food, well, of course it is the explorers and the people who find it, but they would present them to royalty, and of course they would give them the blessings if it was good or not. And of course, that's where most of the traditional foods came from, because the palace chefs had to do something with all this new discovered food and see if they could do something to please their monarch, lest their head be removed. But no, in answer to your question, yeah, I think we do live in a culture where the status of food it depends on what you're willing your palate and how much you're willing to pay for. Because there's some poor people I know, they will save up as much money as they can to have their favorite food from their restaurant. You know, and as you said before, there's probably some rich people that can choose to dine at probably the most swankiest places, but they'd probably rather go around the corner and get some
local dive
Kentucky Fried Chicken. You know, you know. Not saying anything bad about Kentucky Fried Chicken, but yeah, just
That sounds like you are.
no, not really, because I'd be a hypocrite. No, but yeah, it's good you say that. But back then, it would have been interesting to know which foods were only kept for nobility.
I mean, a lot of
chocolate,
just even a lot of meats in general. I mean, just a lot of meats were reserved for nobility. Same with like honey and sugar,
chocolate for sure,
and you know, different types of. Like, if you want to go way old school, you know, ancient Rome, you got different types of fish paste that was kind of reserved more for nobility than the poorer folk. So, yeah. I don't know. It's just very. I mean, this is. It's just food is such a how do I want to put it? Food is it's such a universally personal thing. It's so. I mean, it's very interesting to see where people lie when it comes to that, because it almost seems that it was kind of mentioned a little bit before that like you could be really good friends with somebody. But if you don't like some similar foods, you might drive each other fucking batty.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of weird that something like that would kind of be like, oh, you know what? It's just like, why? And it's just a very interesting thing in that regard.
Where I'd be the opposite. I'd be like, man, it's food. Calm down. don't go nuts about it.
Well, I will give some of my friends a hard time in a very cheeky manner, like about that. I know another one of my friends, actually, I was just visiting him. He hates asparagus, and
oh man,
So, like the meal where I was eating asparagus as well as I think just some other times later, I was just like, what the fuck's wrong with these asparagus? Just just stupid things, not like hateful, spiteful things, but just kind of like just being a cheeky little bastard.
Tell them it's good for virility.
Well, my sister
Hey,
believes
everyone.
it gives you magic powers, so so I like to think of it that way. But I don't know. I guess it's something I guess it should also be brought up is that it's something I don't quite. Maybe I just don't pay enough attention to it, but I don't quite see it tons per se in Japan. But it's like comfort foods. Do you see much of that kind of idea or that kind of mentality, that sort of thought process at all in Korea?
I would say that people definitely have comfort food when it comes to their family's cooking. With their typically their mom or their grandma's cooking.
That's home cooking. Of course, it's going to be
Yeah,
kind of.
that's typical.
But I mean, more of
I
like
would say
ice cream.
yes.
Or...
No, I would say Koreans are very defensive of Korean food though. Like if you go and meet Koreans outside of Korea, like if they're from Korea and then they're traveling outside for whatever reason, they will be completely homesick about getting food from home. They will just list off 100 things that they want to eat that's from home.
Yeah.
Now, I know we all do that at some point, but usually for us, when we do that, it's kind of like, oh, I wish I had Mexican food and I wish I had Greek hummus or something. Or I wish I had this or this or this, right? But for them, it's like, I want, and then they'll list like 100 typical Korean dishes that they'd want to eat kind of thing. So I think that they kind of view it almost all as comfort food in a way. They don't really think of like, I really need a hamburger, where like obviously I might do that. I'm like, oh man, I just want a hamburger, like nobody's business here. So I think it's very different. The sort of view of food is very different when it comes to that. I'm sure people do have their particular tastes in comfort food for sure, but I don't know. Maybe not in the same sense as we think of it. If you get a package from, your home, and
I meant more of like when
something
you're
like that.
down kind of thing, when you're feeling
Yeah, I mean,
kind of sad.
I don't really see craft dinner being a comfort food here. So
I've never been. I know the science behind it. That of course people eat to sort of control their emotions and all that.
Depression.
I've never. If I ever felt sad, I've never ever gone to eat something. I have no idea. Like I don't want to say I want to see that in action because I reckon that's pretty bizarre to see if that's true or not. But I've never recalled eating something when I'm sad. Yeah.
I don't know if it's necessarily having to be sad.
Sad, but no. Or winding down or just relaxing,
Yeah, I think it just more. It's like a craving, essentially, of just I really want this food. It's not accessible to me right now, and that's just it. So you almost feel a bit sad because it's not accessible, but not typically. From my view, it's never like I'm sad. I need to eat a donut. I don't personally feel that way, but
when you say it like that, yeah, I've actually felt like that before when I've lived away from where I currently live, because where I'm living now is where I was born, but I've been away, and you do feel that it's like, oh, I want to feel that, but I'm not where I am, where I can get it. So no, I could totally agree with you there. Okay.
I see.
Taylor's thinking about craft dinner now.
I am. No, I'm totally thinking about chili there. Chili and cornbread.
Rice Krispie squares.
Chili and cornbread.
I have cornbread. I should have sent you some.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
I've never had Rice Krispie squares, but it's one of the few things that sounds interesting, isn't it?
They're good.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
They're good.
We'll leave it at that. They're not cultural.
You count sugar as culture, then yes.
We probably do have it here. It's under a different name, and that's where it
probably,
gets confusing.
Probably. Rice snaps or something?
Yeah,
there's probably a different name. I don't know. Do you guys want to steer this anywhere else?
I think something important that kind of goes along with food are some interesting, like, table manners, per se.
Ugh.
What do you mean, ugh?
The lack thereof of most of the people.
I'm big on
It's not my
using
place
knife.
to say, but
I'm one of those guys who uses knife and fork. That's just. But I don't know why. Does anyone here use bibs or puts anything to stop any stains?
years ago when it was like a lobster meal, but that's about it. Just because it's
I,
got the goofy lobster picture
I,
on it.
I have
That's
never
about it.
lived. I've never lived. I have never dined with any friends that ever used a bib, and I don't think I know any Australians that
I
do.
don't.
On the
So-
lap, maybe?
Not even on the lap.
No,
It's
because
just.
once in a while, sometimes I go to restaurants, some people put it on their lap, but
I just think it's a case of, oh, bugger, I got it out of here. I'll just have to get cleaned.
I think it depends what you eat. I mean, it really does. If it's something really, really slimy or has like a lot of sauce on or something, you might want to put something on, but generally speaking,
Now
no.
this is something that I wanted to ask for. They probably not now, but in down under there, do they ever eat with the fork tines down?
Sorry, what was that?
The fork tines down, so instead of like having it like kind of like a little like cup for the fork, it's kind of it makes a little mound. Do you eat with it down, or do you generally eat with it where you can scoop up things easier?
I'm really fucking confused.
The fork of the teeth, the teeth of the fork there, fork tines.
From what I know, we just traditionally use a normal fork, and it's placed where it should be.
What's how as it should be?
You know, are you saying placed on the table?
No,
Or
how you eat with it.
Oh, how you use it.
Right.
Okay. Just like everyone else in the world, I think. I didn't know there was different techniques.
Well, there
that you-
was at one point. I don't know exactly where. But people would eat with the fork tines facing down, so you would have kind of a mound-like thing.
Huh.
So
I don't know what that would be good for. Mashed potatoes, maybe?
I have no idea. It just sounds like a pain in the
Yeah.
ass to eat with.
Yeah, that's mashed potato maybe because it'd be kind of sticky, but not too many foods would that be effective for.
It could have been an old time kind of thing. I do know, in Japan, you're supposed to slurp noodles.
Yeah.
I fucking hate doing that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I'm with you there.
It's just kind of like, not really my thing. I'll kind of, okay, I'm done.
Well, actually, that ties into something else. This is actually where it defines my sort of disdain of most foods. I actually don't like watching people eat. It turns me off.
But some people don't. Some people are gross when they fucking eat. They're like, it's like,
And it's just like, that's why I like to eat alone. It's just like, I have what I want, and I don't have to worry about anything. It's just be consuming here, enjoyable, calm, quiet, relaxing. I don't have to worry about anyone judging you what you eat, which is something I've had to deal with my whole life.
Greg, put some chocolate on this hot dog.
oh, Jesus, what is wrong with you?
How about I put this fork in your eye? And that's what it usually came down to. Then no one told me what to do anymore.
Obviously, the table manners are very different in different places. I think one thing, not to judge, but just mostly like in Asia, I found most people typically just kind of eat with their mouths open, and it's okay to talk while eating, and so food is kind of visible and flying out. And a lot of the kids like at school do it, and I'm trying to encourage them. You shouldn't talk with food in your mouth, or at least cover your mouth if you really need to talk. But it's so ingrained with them that it's acceptable just to do that. Belching at the table is not a big deal. It actually is a sign that the food is excellent, that you've enjoyed the meal, kind of thing. Other things, I've had my elbows on the table, and like Korean people are like, oh, no, don't do that. That's really bad. That's just, I like to kind of sit forward when I sit at the table. I like to put my arms on the table. So
Yeah, that's rude, man. What are you doing? Elbows.
that's how I sit at the table. I just sit forward all the time.
Tisk,
And we sit on the
fucking
floor a
tisk.
lot here. Sit on the floor, so I kind of need that leverage. Like my knees get really, really
Forearms.
achy after a little while.
Forearms on
So
that corner. Forearms on that corner.
nah. So anyways, but there's obviously just different things that are acceptable and unacceptable. And personally, I don't really like the open mouth thing, and so that's just something that does come up. But
That, and also just, I think it's probably in a lot of places is just kind of, even though there's like no food per se, or just kind of little small amounts of food on it, is kind of licking some sort of silverware.
not the dish.
Well, right, definitely not the fucking dish, but I mean, licking, like, say you're eating something, say you're eating mashed potatoes and you got most of it, but there's a little bit on there. It seems it's
fork in my mouth.
Well,
is that what you,
well, I mean, if
versus
there's
just licking
remnants,
the
if
thing?
there's remnants of it, and you're just
Mm.
kind of licking it, it's a little like it
Oh.
like it kind of say there's some stuck to chopsticks, but it's not really food you're bringing up to your mouth. It's a little bit rude to be kind of
I don't know if I've seen anyone lick their chopsticks
like
before.
no, you know, if there's nothing, if you're not bringing food up to your mouth, but you're still kind of eating off something that's kind of stuck, like maybe you got a little green onion or a little leek that's still stuck to it or something. It's a little kind of
Yeah, but I would just put it in my mouth then. I wouldn't just lick it.
Well, it's maybe I'm not explaining. I'm not saying like you fucking hold it there like a fucking little stir and lick it like that. I mean, just kind of just
A salt lick.
right. Yeah. So
Yeah, I don't know. Chopsticks are definitely used very, very different than forks and knives and stuff though too, right? I mean,
Right.
maybe that's, as Greg had said about the bib thing, typically with chopsticks, if you're using them correctly, you wouldn't need a bib. And I mean, you can pick up the bowl and put it towards your mouth. That's acceptable. So you shouldn't be dropping stuff on yourself.
I'm extremely jealous of people who can use chopsticks.
it's not that hard. It's like a pencil, like a pencil.
Yeah, you have to see me.
I'll send you the trainer sticks, Greg. We have them for kids here.
I've seen that picture.
Never been able to, like, one of the fingers will spasm, like, if I try and do it properly. And I'm like, this actually is extremely uncomfortable.
So are you a chopstick stabber? Do you just use the one and just stab at stuff?
Yeah,
And
try
hope
and
it's
use
hope
one.
it
One is
catches.
leverage, and it's just like, come on,
Give me that
on.
chicken wing and just like stabbing it.
Oh man.
That's gonna be hard to get corn, hey? It takes some practice. It definitely does. But if you really want to practice, you should practice with wood. Wood are the easiest to hold. Don't use metal. Don't use like the long plastic ones that a lot of Chinese restaurants have. Use wood. Wood are the easiest to learn how to use. Wood are just the best to use from personally. I like using wood the most.
Wood's
Just
really
do.
easy. Plastic's it can be a little slippery.
Metal is not that fun.
I've never really used metal ones.
I never knew.
It just seems a little kind of uncomfortable using metal. Fucking
Yeah, they're a little wonky. But
At that point, you might as well give them a knife and fork. You can use metal chopsticks.
oh, they use them in Korea just because
Use
they're
them
easy
for-
to clean.
for
right?
battle
So,
stations.
yeah, they're easy to clean, so all the restaurants have metal.
Be fighting with them.
Mm.
So yeah, they're definitely depending on where you're at and stuff, you can have a huge variety of table manners and stuff. I mean, you know, don't eat with your left hand in certain areas. It's a very common one, but that's also because you be scooping the poop out with your
Yep,
with your left hand there.
the lefty.
That's why. So
Mm.
if you did not know, now you do.
Mm.
So dun 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 dun. dun.
Greg's gonna fire up the Bobby.
Said no one ever.
Said people are friends
Said
with
it's
a Greg.
apparently 22 million Australians. Minus one.
No, you said Greg fire up the Barbie. Said no one ever.
It said people who have friends that are named Greg that actually like to fire up the Bobby.
Yeah. Get a box of
That's
goon
what I
and
mean.
fire the Bobby. Where's the shrimp, mate?
God,
Oh,
stop.
man.
just
Yeah.
just stop right there.
Come on, Taylor. Come on down.
No. Stay right here, thank you. Oh goodness.
I take it you don't like barbecue then.
Oh, I love barbecue, but your accent was what was driving me away.
Because it's too good or too bad?
It's really bad. It didn't sound very good. I don't know, Greg. Greg, you sounded off there.
No, I wasn't going to say anything. It's just saying Sushi was trying to tap into drunk Australian. And I tell you what, I don't meet a lot of people that speak that normal Ocker slang. Hi, mate, how you going? It's just
No,
like,
not that much. Not
It's
really.
like
No.
the cockneyed kind of thing that a lot of
Yeah.
Americans always think British people talk like. Oh, governor, I don't know.
I,
Kind of.
I don't come from the fucking north, chap. Shit.
Aussies got their lingo though. Seems like every single one of them says, "You're all right." And it's like, "Yep, I am not."
Sweet mate. That's a big
Yeah,
one.
sweet. I always heard you're all right. It's like, yeah, no, I'm not.
I'm not alright. Oh goodness. But yeah, anything else that you would like to add? I know this is a very, what's the word I want to use? Very all over the place, very, I guess, different and a very large topic at that. So it's kind of, we're of course not going to cover everything. It's just kind of how we are. But I mean, I don't know. Is there anything else you guys would like to add?
Actually, to be perfectly honest, nah.
Well, all right, right. Well, actually, no, I do have something that would be we should kind of go over here briefly. And that's, what's your favorite foods? Things, I mean, that would be kind of, I guess, something. It doesn't have to be specifically where you're from, but just, I don't know, just a few of your favorite foods that you like there.
I've said it many times. Food is food, but pizza is a gift of the gods. I will say this now. I love my pizza a bit more than the average man.
What's your favorite topping for pizza?
Oh man, I can go I'm pretty much meat, and there's some Mexican and seafood. Pretty much, yeah. I'm sort of varied. I remember a couple years ago I finally had seafood and pizza. I'm like, wow, this is actually really good.
Oh, kind of sauce do they use? Do they use kind of a white base sauce for the seafood one?
Oh yeah. Depending on who you go with, they'll use more seafood orientated sauce. But I'm pretty traditional with the normal flavors like pepperoni pizza or meat lovers pizza. You know, that's the normal ones I have. You know.
Mm. What about Hawaiian pizza? Have you ever had Hawaiian?
Um, it's one of those things I can eat if I have drinks because I can sort of
It's
stomach pineapple.
another one you look it up for. Yeah, right?
It's mainly pineapple that is like it's like nah, not feeling it today. So but if I'm drinking, it's like yeah, I'll have pineapple.
Mm. We have what about? I'm trying to think. There's.
But just you said favorite foods. Well, the other one of course is nachos. Absolutely love nachos. And the one that's probably one of the most simple foods for a simple mind, just chips, French fries,
Mm.
you know, chips. Just no, I kind of like them. I don't. Most people eat them because oh, it's simple, it's easy. No, when you cook it really right, I really like them. And there was a good 2 years, no one around here could cook them, and I was just really sad. It's fucking potato. How can you fuck that up? Obviously, there's a lot of people who did. Recently, I've found a lot of people that actually do really nice stuff. Like I had some from a fish and chip shop, and they actually took the time to can cook them properly, and it was extremely nice. So,
Okay, well, Sushi, how about yourself? What are some of your kind of favorite foods, I guess?
Could probably sit here all day listing off tons of things. Right off the top of my head, I don't really have any anything in particular, I guess.
Nothing particular.
No, just I like too many different kinds of foods, so I mean, nothing's really just like
Just
striking me. Like, oh yeah, I gotta mention that one. So
Huh. Okay.
plenty of food I don't like as well, but generally speaking, I'll at least give it a shot, and then if I don't like it, I won't eat it again. But
Mm.
there's not too much I won't even at least just try.
No, okay. As for myself, favorite foods, I absolutely love. I mean, this is something we didn't even really cover, but like festival foods, there's a lot of festival foods and stuff. But I really enjoy okonomiyaki, which is there's two different versions of it. It's like cabbage, egg. It looks like somebody threw up onto a plate, but it's actually really delicious. I wish I could remember what all goes into okonomiyaki, but there's like cabbage, there's this kind of like sauce that goes on it, their egg. One version has noodles, ginger. It's really delicious, and usually I eat it during festival time, fall time kind of thing. I also I love chili and cornbread. I love that. I mean, there's a lot of different variants. A lot of people argue about should beans and tomatoes be in chili, this kind of thing. You have and whatever, bring it all. And I love lots of different vegetables and stuff. So,
Get some peppers in there.
oh yeah, freaking chili verde. Chili verde is delicious. And even like chili sin carne is without meat is really really good.
Hmm.
So I also love pumpkin pie.
Oh,
Delicious.
Pumpkin pie.
I mean, there's a whole other fucking thing there with desserts. This thing could go on forever, but we'd like to try to make these
That's why
make
I'm
these
not
a bit
saying much.
shorter there.
So we could talk.
yeah.
But yeah, so there's
Chew the fat. Chew the fat.
so there's at least a few. But I know Greg, you've mentioned a few. But what is maybe like a couple of your most despised foods?
Oh man,
Like
man.
you're like,
man.
holy fuck, why do people eat this kind of thing?
You know beans and bees. If someone had ever served me that, I said you're gonna have to serve it near the toilet because it's gonna come out straight away. I know, seriously. Every time I eat it, instant gag reflex.
What is this
Sounds
again?
like Pizza Hut for me.
What is this again?
Peas.
What
And
kind of
peas.
peas?
Green
Um,
peas?
General peas, yeah. I will throw them up
What?
like nobody's business.
Huh.
Huh.
Are you talking about with the shell or just the actual like bean part?
Oh, just the bean. I've never eaten
Huh.
them with the shell.
I don't think you're green beans. You just like fuck all for that.
Yeah, no, and I've tried it before. I've
Really?
tried it because I know how good it is for you. My body will reject it like a freight
It's
train.
possible. Yeah, you just something
Huh.
in your stomach's just like, whoa, I
Greg
can't.
was
handle it.
traumatized.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
And a general dislike is even though there's different sauces that use tomatoes, I actually don't like tomatoes
Mm.
themselves.
A lot of people don't.
This
That's a
is-
very dividing kind of
Yeah.
fruit. It's a fruit.
Thing.
It's a fruit.
Yeah.
It's got seeds. Grows out up above the thing there, above the ground. It's fruit.
It's food.
It's a lot of people don't like it.
Mm. Harsh for your stomach.
Oh, it murderous on your stomach. I could be
Yeah.
wrong. I think I read somewhere, allegedly, this could be totally wrong, so if I'm wrong, internet tell me away, but I believe that the redness from the tomato or the tomato comes from the a meteorite hitting and fucking up with the plant, and what the plant evolved. It had to kind of adapt because of all of the wonderful smoke and dust and everything that kind of clogged up the atmosphere. It had to kind of evolve and go red or go home, and it went red. So, so okay. How about yourself, Sushi? Are there any that come to mind that you're just like, no, no?
I'll eat octopus and squid, but I don't prefer them. I mean, I'll eat them depending on how they're. Sometimes they're made in a way that I don't really like them, but I don't hate them. I guess maybe something like eggplant is not really something I enjoy. I know you like that, Taylor, but personally, I don't really like eggplant. There's probably other things. I'm not a big fan of broccoli. I'll eat it if it's on my plate. I don't complain. I'm just like whatever, I'll eat it. But I don't go out searching for it, kind of thing. I don't know. Not a heck of a lot, I guess. Other than being something extreme, like I don't know, some meat that's not supposed to be eaten, like monkeys or something weird.
Not a fan of bush meat? What the fuck, man?
Well, if it's venison.
I don't think venison falls under the umbrella of bushmeat.
Well, how far does the bush go? I mean, I've eaten insects, so
Venison is very delicious, but yeah.
I've eaten insects that they don't really bother me. They're not overly delicious, but they don't bother me.
Good protein.
Supposedly, right? But I don't know. Maybe just eggplant's the only thing that's coming to mind.
I absolutely despise konnyaku, and it's this fucking, it's this wheat gelatinous thing that's this kind of cube, and it has no nutritional value at all. It has none. Zero, zip. Probably the only nutritional value is the calories you lose from actually chewing on this thing. It's whatever flavor it has is from the soup that kind of runs off of this fucking. It's so disgusting. It's like this kind of eggshell gray kind of like black speckled thing. It
sounds a bit like a tofu, but it's not.
It wishes it was tofu. That's That's how bad.
Tofu's the one I don't prefer either.
I don't mind tofu. Like
I don't mind it, but I don't prefer it.
if when you have konjac, you'll love tofu compared to this fucking thing. It is so it's basically there to take up space in your stomach. It serves no other fucking purpose. It is horrible.
Makes you feel full.
Yeah, exactly.
Huh.
You might as well just eat a fucking rock at that point. Go.
Or a calorie mate.
Or a calorie. Yeah, exactly. A calorie. Fuck. I'd totally eat a calorie made into that. But I don't know. That and what's another one I'm not a huge fan of? I really I like a lot of vegetables, but when you get into I've never had chicken feet actually. But when you get into fermented vegetables, kimchi's all right, but not the freaking fermented beans. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not good at all. I don't like it. I don't like the flavor of it. It looks very sickly, like somebody just blew a snot ball
Sickly.
into it. It's disgusting.
Well, that's what your buddy thinks guacamole, right?
Right.
You can argue that too. But.
Exactly. I don't know. It's just something about it. It's not a very appealing to me. And it's kind of like when people ferment food, it makes me wonder if they just got bored and they're like, we're tired of eating fucking beans all the time. Let's do.
What about like sauerkraut then?
I love sauerkraut.
Okay.
And I enjoy kimchi, but it's just like the sauerkraut's more pickled though, right?
Right, more pickle.
Yeah, it's pickled, so that's cool. That's fine. I like that, but not is not like that at all. It's just disgusting.
It even looks nasty in anime. So real. Let's have nada. I'm just like, yeah.
Let's not. No. It's not really my cup of tea kind of thing there.
What about durian?
Durian?
guys-
What kind?
Just fresh durian.
Fresh durian. You're gonna have to get more specific.
This is the first I've
How
heard
do
of.
you get more specific than durian?
Well,
fruit.
Huh?
The fruit? Durian?
Oh, I was thinking Dorian there.
No, durian.
Sorry. What is durian?
You know that it's got a super spiky outside, and then you cut it, and inside it's got a really strong smell and a really strong taste. Found mostly in Southeast Asia.
I don't think I've ever had it.
Okay, it's they call it the king of fruits, but pretty much no one likes it.
That's why, because nobody.
I had some the other day. This guy offered me a piece of chocolate with it, and I was like, yeah, sure. I've had durian before. I've eaten like just the fruit, and it was in my mouth for the next 5 hours. The taste, and I had a tiny nugget of chocolate. It was small, and like it's so powerful. This fruit, it's really really strong. It's kind of everyone has a different way of eating it, but I had it. It's really slimy. And the smell is bad. The smell I don't like, but the taste I dislike even more, I guess. But I'll eat it. If someone's like, eat this, I'm like, fine, I'll eat it. I don't mind. But I was curious if you guys have had durian or not. But
No, I haven't.
yeah, they're pretty expensive typically. If you buy them in Southeast Asia, they're cheap. But if you buy them somewhere else, I saw them today at the store. They were $30 for one. So they're really expensive.
Ooh, that's
I'm pretty sure they don't sell them easily either. I don't think people go out and looking for them. I'll send you a picture later. Durian. You've probably seen them before.
I have seen them before, but I've never seen them at the store. I don't think I've seen them at the store per se. Might have, but I know I've seen them before.
They're not common in the stores. I mean,
Right. So I know I've seen them.
they're not allowed to, like, you can't bring them on subways in most countries and stuff. You can't
Because they
bring them
reek so bad.
Yeah, the smell is so strong.
Phew. Goodness. The yeah, no, absolutely not. But yeah, I guess we'll kind of wrap that up here now, I guess, because I said so. And I think we're kind of in agreement that if we kind of continue, it'd kind of go for a very, 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 very long time.
Yes.
So yeah, we'll just kind of stop it there. And if anybody has anything they want to add, something interesting or favorite foods or least favorite foods or something, definitely feel free to share with us. Or some kind of quirky table manners or something
For your
like
cultural food in your culture.
right, or the local cuisine that it's remained local because nobody actually fucking likes it, kind of thing. So, but
like that fermented shark from Iceland.
no, what? Oh no,
I
that's
forget what that's called.
That-
Oh,
It's supposed to
Oh,
be really, really
man.
strong.
that sounds really, really wrong.
I'd probably eat it. I'd try it, but I've heard it's pretty funky.
Oh man.
Only you. Only you, Sushi.
And people in Iceland, people like it.
Yeah. Different strokes for different folks.
Borscht. Don't give me no borscht. Borscht is not my
My goodness. All right, but yeah. So if you guys have some very interesting foods that you like, or some kind of weird concoction of food that you like, definitely feel free to share it with us and whatnot, and we will catch you on a later episode. So thanks for listening, and have a good day.